that out of the way. All right, and then we'll just try and get into the breath. So you can just have your strap to hand when you need it. All right, so just allowing the shoulders to sink down the back. So just sort of mindfully relaxing them. Sometimes we hold a lot of tension there, so just trying to let them melt down, maybe closing the eyes. And then just starting to take a couple of deeper breaths, so deep inhales where you fill the chest with air. And exhale, soften the shoulders. Just allowing the chest to rise and fall. And with the exhale, allowing the shoulders to soften. Just starting to build the breath a little each time. Now we're just going to try and use a nice strong breath to try and help us release any tension in the body. So the inhale to allow us to just create a little more space in the body. And then that exhale to just soften the body, help us to relax the muscles and help us to stretch the muscles a little more. Excellent, well done. All right, when you're ready, just open the eyes. Lovely. We're just going to try and stretch out a little to start with. So just to start with, just taking your left hand down towards the outside of the hip and then just taking the right arm up and over. Just want you to keep your right shoulder nice and soft, so relaxing down, bend the elbow as well, and just lean into it. So we just want to get a little bit of a lean over, perhaps feeling the right ribs move out, the right hip go down. So just a little bit of a side stretch. Well done. Just coming back to center, switching over. So again, just nice and relaxed into the left shoulder, left arm, elbow bent. Just getting that side stretch. Well done. And then just coming back to center nice and slowly. And then we'll stretch out the hands in front. So just walking the fingertips out as far as you can. As you do, try to stay up onto the fingertips and keep the wrists fairly lifted. Then try to keep the shoulders lifted as well. And you can always drop your head slightly here. And you should start to feel like you're broadening across the upper back a little. At the same time, press the hips down. So we might start to stretch into the outer hips. Perhaps pulling the belly in. Going a little further if you want to. Straight arms if you can. Just a nice deep breath here. Exhale to push back and down into those hips. Well done. One more. Excellent, well done. And then nice big inhale, lift the head and just walking our hands back in. Well done. From here, try open the chest. So take the hands behind you, clasp the fingers, keep the elbows bent, and then try and squeeze the elbows towards each other. So shoulder blades start to come together. See how that feels. And you're also going to get this stretch across the chest. So you might start to feel that sort of towards the armpits. You can maybe lift and look up a little as well. Again, just see how it feels. Good. And then soften the shoulders down the back. So sort of actively pull them down the back if you can. Maybe still squeezing the elbows. Don't necessarily need to straighten the arms, but see how it feels. Well done. And exhale, release. Lovely. All right, we're going to try and do a little bit of work with the strap or whatever you've got to use. You can come up onto your knees, or you can stay seated or standing, whatever feels good. And we're not going to try and come back too far because we don't want to get into the lower back here. We just want to feel we're just going to sort of isolate the shoulders a little bit more here. So for your first one, you're going to take the hands that are a little bit wider than shoulder width. And we're going to try and hold onto the strap or whatever you're using, or belt. And basically you want to try and make sure that your wrists aren't dropping down or up. So keep them nice and strong, nice and straight with the wrists. And just gently pull your strap apart. So you're just going to start to feel a little engagement into the shoulders. Just start to drop the shoulders down the back. You want straight arms for this as well. So when we straighten our arms, we might get a little more strength building into our triceps. They sometimes get a little bit of a shake on as well, just where our muscles turning on and off. So hold it out, just pull in the strap gently so we can feel that into the shoulders. Lovely, do one more breath. Excellent, well done, and then just release it down. Just have a little roll out of the shoulders, see how that feels. Yeah, well done, good. All right, excellent. And then we're going to try to go a little bit further, so you might open your strap out a little bit wider, and you want to go fairly wide for this one. So we can always adjust once you get into it, once you see what we're trying to do. And then again, just going to pull lightly apart. So you start to feel that engagement. Straight arms again, you might want to start lower if you can. You're going to take your arms up, your hands up, and as you do, just push your shoulders forwards. Well done, see how that feels. And then nice and slowly, we're going to take that hands up a little higher, straight arms again. You might want to go a little narrower if you're finding it hard to lift the hands above the head. Yeah, well done. And then just gently take the shoulders towards the ceiling. So nice and gently there, lifting the shoulders up. Yeah, well done. And then if we're wide enough, we might be able to take the hands back as well. You can always go wider here if you feel like it. And then have that little pull of the strap with the hands. And maybe see if you can go back as well, but take it easy. This goes into the shoulder blades to see how that feels. Still having that little pull apart if you can, nice and slowly working up and back around. Well done. We're just going to try and do that 2 more times. So you might want to adjust when you come to your second and your third. You might want to go narrower, or you might find that when you go up and back, you actually need the hands to be wider. As you go nice and slowly, so that little pull apart with the strap, straight arms if you can. You might notice that as you take the arms back, that you might find that one of the shoulders comes down before the other. We're trying to keep it nice and balanced if possible. And it's just a nice little exercise to try and do. We try and isolate into the shoulders, so just pulling apart. Well done. We also see how flexible we are on the shoulders as well. So the narrower you have the hands, the more flexible you are in the shoulders, basically. And obviously, if you have to have the hands quite wide, doesn't mean you've got strong shoulders or tight shoulders, depending on how you look at it. Well done, good work. And then just release it down. Yeah, just come all the way back once you're ready. Take your time, don't rush through it. Yeah, that's it. Good. Nice, all done. And then just have a little shrug of the shoulders again, little rock around, roll around, notice where you feel it. Excellent, well done. All right, so we'll try and go a little bit further again. This time you might double over with your strap so it's shorter. And again, we're just going to try and go as far as we can. So taking the strap up, again, we're just going to pull the strap apart, taking it up nice and high, reaching up, reaching up, reaching up. And then you might try to go back a little, see how that feels. Yeah, well done. Make sure you look after the lower back, so pull the belly in as well. Straight arms if you can. Keep pulling the strap apart and then nice and slowly coming back. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Good work, well done. And then just release it down. Well done. All right, next one we're going to try is where we try to take the hand up and back, and then we sort of normally we'll grab hold of the fingers, but we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to use the strap. So take hold of your strap, you're going to drop that behind the head, and then you're going to grab hold behind you. We're not aiming to go really close. We actually just want to have a nice comfortable position with the hands. So my hands are quite far apart. And then you're going to try to pull your strap away from your back. So it's your hands pulling the strap back. Again, a couple of deep breaths here if you can. Notice where you feel it. You can lift the chest, look up slightly as well, so you feel that a little bit more. But again, just gently pulling the strap apart and away from the back. Lovely, one more breath. Excellent, well done. Nice and slowly release, relax, and I will switch over to do the other side. So you might do the other arm, drop it down. Again, reach around with the back hand, with the bottom hand. And again, don't feel like you have to go really close. You're going quite far apart, and then send the strap away from the back. Again, maybe looking up. Nice deep breaths. Exhale, soften the shoulders down as we breathe. Maybe take that strap further away with the exhale. One more breath. Excellent, well done. Release nice and slowly. And then you just pop the strap out of the way. Lovely. So the idea is that we just warm the shoulders up a little bit more before we start with our usual. And then we are going to try and do a little bit more shoulder work today to try and help out. So for the first bit, once your strap's out of the way, just take your hands down, hands underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers nice and wide, and then just trying to have the knees so they're hip width apart. Start to lift the chest, look forwards. Well done. And then exhale, just allow the shoulder blades to drop towards each other. So we're not actually bending the elbows here, we're keeping the arms straight. Nice and slowly push back into the upper back, strong straight arms. You can even round the back and perhaps look at the feet. So it's a little bit like cat-cow that we sometimes do, but we're not going to let the chest drop down too far. We might push it forward slightly, but we're just trying to work into those shoulder blades a little more. Let's do 2 more here if we can. So nice and strong, pushing up into the back, rounding the spine. And then again, dropping the chest down, shoulder blades come towards each other a little. And then coming back up again, nice and slowly. Well done. The last one, we're just going to try and let the shoulder blades come together, looking forwards, chest forwards perhaps. Well done. And then just nice and slowly come back into a neutral spine. All right, we're going to try to work with a down dog, but we're going to try to really look after the shoulders with this one. So if you turn your fingers out slightly, so for most people, I'll just get a bit closer. For most people, we have our hands down, and sometimes it's the index finger is parallel with the mat. I want you to try and go a little bit further so it feels like you're turning your palms out quite a bit. Spread the fingers still. And what you're looking to do is try and get your inner elbows to face forwards. And once we get in our down dog, we're not going to move our hands. We want to keep them rolling out. And that's going to help us get this external rotation with the shoulders. So if you do end up with your hands being in, elbows go out, but you also get this internal rotation with the shoulders. So we're going to avoid that. We're going to go the other way. So once you're ready, fingers turned out a little more than usual. Inner elbows facing forwards. Tuck in the toes. Lift the hips up towards the sky to start with. And then focus on trying to keep those inner elbows facing forwards. As you do, slowly start to shift your hips back. And you should feel like your shoulders restrict you from going too far back. And again, this might be where the shoulders are perhaps a little tight, but effectively it actually helps us to protect the shoulders and also protect the neck. So you can get impingement, shoulder impingement in down dog if you've not got the arms in the right position. So just have a little feel of that in your down dog. The shoulders, the arms, the hands pressing down. You always have a little bend in the knees or start to paddle out the legs. Perhaps noticing how that feels across the upper back. So we're trying to broaden across the upper back here. Just taking a couple more breaths. Excellent, well done. Nice and slowly, just starting to walk the feet towards the hands. Having your feet hip width apart, just soften the knees and then grab hold of either elbow and let the head hang down. Shoulders relax, elbows relaxed as well, and keep the neck nice and relaxed. So nice and heavy in the upper body. You always have a little sway from side to side, just easing out the side of the body into those hips as well. Maybe stretching out the back of the legs a little. You don't necessarily need to straighten the legs here, just nice and soft, nice and heavy in the upper body. Lovely, well done. And then release the hands towards the floor, slowly rolling up, keeping the arms heavy, the head tucked down or lean forward slightly, and rolling it all the way up to standing nice and slowly. Excellent, well done. All right, we're going to do our sun salutations, a little more mindful of our shoulders though in this one. I'm going to try and get a little bit more of a stretch, just to have a little bit more space. All right, so top of the mat when you're ready. I'm going to take a nice big inhale, stretch the hands up. You're going to go a little bit wider, and you might even take your elbows out to the side and just squeeze the shoulder blades a little. See how it feels. You can get your chest further forward this way as well. Exhale, release the hands towards the floor. Drop the head, maybe straighten the legs a little. Lovely. Inhale, take the hands to the shins or the knees. Look forwards and try to lift the chest. Lovely. Exhale, soften the knees, take the hands towards the floor and step your feet back to plank. Well done. Drop the knees and then lower the chest towards the floor. Well done. We're going to take our hands nice and wide here, maybe coming up onto the fingertips, and then feel the shoulder blades squeeze together. Well done. If that feels all right, you're going to start to peel your belly, chest off the floor. Well done. And now allow your shoulder blades to come together a little bit more by sending your ribs further forward. So front ribs push forwards, heart pushes forwards. So although we don't come up very high in this one, you should feel like you're doing quite a lot of work in that upper back. Exhale, release down. Take the hands back in and come into a tabletop position. Well done. We're just going to check in with the hands. So fingers turn out a little bit more than usual. Inner elbows face forwards. Press into the hands and keeping the inner elbows forwards, start to try to send your hips back. The slower you can go, the better. And you should feel like your upper arms are trying to roll out, whilst your lower arms, your forearms are trying to roll in because of the placement of the hands and the wrist. So it's the upper arms rolling out. We get a nice external rotation in the shoulders, but more importantly, we get that broadness across the upper back. So try and hold it here. You might be able to start to straighten the legs. Should feel a lot stronger than usual. It's also quite challenging as well to push the chest through. So if you're naturally used to pushing your chest through towards your shins, it actually stops you from doing this because we want to keep that broadness in the upper back in our down dog. We don't want the shoulder blades to come together. So again, just looking after the shoulders. Well done. One more breath. Well done. Looking forward, step the feet towards the hands. Nice halfway lift again and come up a little higher, chest forwards. And then exhale, fall down, relax the hands, the shoulders, the neck, the head. Lovely. Inhale, coming all the way back up. Again, maybe go a little bit wider with the hands, lift the chest, a little wider with the arms, and exhale all the way back to standing. Lovely. We're going to do one more of those, get used to it. Nice inhale, reaching the arms up. Again, go wider, maybe bend the elbows, shoulders come down the back towards the hips. Exhale, release the hands forward, folding at the waist, drop the head, relax the shoulders, the arms, and the neck. Well done. Inhale, halfway lift the chest. Exhale, plant the hands, feet back to plank. Well done. Coming down, so maybe drop the knees, lower the chest. Well done. Take your feet nice and wide. All right, from here, I take those hands out nice and wide onto the fingertips. Shoulder blades come together a little. And then peel the belly, chest off the floor. Glutes engage as well. Lift the head, look forwards, and then soften the chest, ribs forwards and down, all the way back down. Lovely. Press the hands down by the ribs, coming into your tabletop position. Fingers turned out, inner elbows forwards. Again, take the hips up first, and then keeping those inner elbows forwards as much as possible. Start to take your hips back. So your inner elbows are going to want to roll in and face each other. And when you push back in your down dog, you're trying to resist that if you can. So they won't ever be facing forwards completely. They'll roll in a little, but you're trying to resist them rolling all the way in, basically. And you get this broadness across the chest. And then nice deep breath. Excellent. Two more. Seeing if you can almost breathe into the upper back there. Notice that in the shoulders. Pressing down into the hands, strong arms. Lovely. One more breath. Excellent, well done. We're actually going to drop our knees towards the floor now and then sink back into child's pose. So child's pose is a really nice one for the hips, also stretches out the back. We're actually going to use it to help with the shoulders now. So if you weren't quite feeling it with your down dog, we're going to try and replicate that feeling in child's pose and get there a little bit easier. So if you, from your child's pose, press back into the heels as if you're trying to sink and sit down a little bit more. So we're trying not to lift up if you can. Then take your hands out in front and you want to be right onto the fingertips if possible. Lift the wrists towards the ceiling and then lift the shoulders as well. So chest might lift, head can lift a little as well. And then hold it there. So you're going to feel that across the upper back, you're going to feel that broadness. And often when we're practicing yoga, we can't always feel that broadness in the back. So if you want to just release one hand to your opposite shoulder and feel what that feels like into your upper back. So shoulder blades aren't coming together at all. They're really spreading apart. So we've got shoulders lifting towards the ceiling, almost as if your armpits are sucking up towards the ceiling. Well done. So you can hold it here. Well done. Belly might pull in as well. And this is going to help us to stretch out the mid-back, the upper back. Really, 2 more breaths here if you can. Keep the shoulders lifted, armpits lifted. Well done. 1 more. Excellent, well done, good work. Just release the elbows to the floor. Sometimes it can feel a little strong, that one. All right, from here you can come into a tabletop position. And then we're going to do our thread the needle, which is a nice one for the shoulders as well. So left arm is going to slide underneath your right arm. And you're going to lower the outside edge of your left shoulder towards the floor. You can drop your head down as well. So completely relax the head down towards the floor. Maybe coming onto the outside of that left shoulder. And then you can either just completely relax into this one, do whatever you need to with your legs, your feet, whatever feels good. And if you want to feel a little bit of resistance, so we're going to try and broaden just the left side, basically, a little bit more. It's like you're trying to press your left shoulder into the ground and press your left upper back away from you. So you can even use your right arm, your right fingers down on the ground, and then press your right shoulder towards your left shoulder. And you should feel a little more engagement. So a lot of these poses, we can do them as relaxing ones, but we can also really isolate certain parts of the body to feel a little more engagement. And it's often where we feel engagement that we can properly strengthen, but also stretch the opposite muscles. So hopefully you're feeling that, nice stretch. Almost feels like a little bit of a twist in the spine as well, especially if you are using your right hand to push the right shoulder back towards your left. Lovely. Let's do 1 more breath. Excellent, well done. Nice and slowly release your right hand down, press into the ground and bring your left arm all the way back out. Lovely. Let's switch over to do the other side. All right, this time you're going to slide your right arm underneath your left, taking that right shoulder towards the floor, maybe the side of the head on the floor as well. Well done, just relax it down. Do what you need to with your knees, your legs, your feet. Just relax to start with. So just feeling the weight of your left shoulder towards your right shoulder as it presses into the ground. Nice and heavy. And then again, maybe to feel that engagement, we might take our left fingers down or the left hand. You're going to press back. So it's like you're trying to press your right shoulder into the ground more. And then you're going to use your left shoulder to push back towards the right shoulder. So again, just feeling a little engagement. You can push as much as you want to, or just release. Maybe it's just a little engagement. Or you might feel that you just want to completely relax here. Just use the weight of your body to sink down, to feel heavy. Well done. 2 more breaths. Excellent. 1 more. Lovely, all done. When you're ready, just take your left hand down onto the floor, release your right arm all the way, and then coming back into your tabletop. Turn your fingers out again slightly, inner elbows face forwards. And when you're ready, tuck your toes under, inner elbows trying to stay forward, lift the hips up high, and then press back slowly, slowly, feeling those upper arms rolling out. Get that nice stretch into the back, across the upper back, feeling that broadness. Nice deep breaths. Lovely, one more. Excellent, well done. And nice and slowly dropping the knees down towards the floor. We're going to grab the strap again. I'm going to show you another little one to work with. Again, to help with the shoulders. So up to you, we can make this a little more challenging and stretch our feet as well. If you want to, you can tuck your toes under and then stretch the bottom of the feet. And then you can sit down onto your heels, but it is quite a tough one for the ankles. It's a tough one for the bottom of the feet. We'll try not to do too much with this one, but if not, if it feels horrible, then just sit down or even cross-legged is fine. And then you're going to grab hold of your strap. We won't do too long with the feet. Some people do this with their feet for like 5 minutes and they're real stretch for the bottom of your feet, but that's a bit too intense. So basically grab your strap and then you're going to take it so it's in the palms of the hands and you're going to squeeze your elbows in towards your ribs. Okay, and then you can grip your fingers around the strap and then nice and slowly you're just going to move. So you're going to try and isolate and engage. You're pulling your strap apart again with your hands like we did at the beginning. Elbows squeeze in and then you're going to try to keep the shoulders pulling down. So really actively pull them down towards your hips. So a lot going on already. And then to feel some movement, we're going to slide the hands over to the left, bring them back and then slide them over to the right. So a lot of engagement going on. It should feel like you've got weights going on. So you should really feel like your bicep muscles are working hard here as well. But you will feel that heat building in the shoulders as well. So just nice and slowly, doesn't need to go too far over each side. Just slowly, slowly, should be feeling it in the feet as well. Well done, let's do 2 more each side. Keeping those shoulders actively pulling down. Lovely, 1 more each side. Woo, feeling that burn now. And exhale, release, good work, well done. Release your feet, your toes. Feeling that, good stuff. All right, and then pop the strap out of the way. So a good one to help you isolate into the shoulders. We're just going to try another one now, which is going to get into the shoulder blades a little bit more. So for this one, you can obviously release your feet, but if you enjoy that, you can always keep your toes tucked under. You're going to take your hands back behind you and clasp the fingers. And you might have your hands towards your lower back. So hands towards the lower back. And then we're going to avoid just straightening the arms, because sometimes when we straighten the arms, we don't necessarily feel anything happening. So we're going to keep the elbows bent and then just start to lift the chest and let the shoulders try and push back. As the shoulders push back, you're then going to start to try and squeeze your elbows towards each other. And to help you squeeze the elbows, you might actually take your hands away from the back. You can keep the elbows bent. Again, sometimes if we've got hyperextension in the elbows, straightening the arms just sometimes loses that control into the upper back. Obviously, take it easy with this one. See how it feels. It's up to you how much engagement you put into this one. But shoulder blades coming together might feel quite tight. So if you're strong in your upper back and your shoulders, this one might be quite tight. And then to go a little further, we're going to keep the shoulders pulling towards the hips, keeping the chest lifted, and you can start to lift the hands a little. Elbows might stay bent, but just lifting the hands a little. Just go to where it feels good. Well done. Excellent. 2 more. Really try and use that breath. Good. 1 more. Excellent. Well done. Nice and slowly, just relax, nice and gently, and then just bring your hands back, and you should feel that into those shoulders. Lovely. I'm going to show you another one to work with, and then we'll try and get a little bit of a flow towards the end. If you've got a wall to hand or a door that you can lean against, you're going to have a little go at this one. So basically, you're going to try and take your shoulder, so you're going to stand sideways onto your wall. You're going to try and get your arm back. So we're going to look back towards our hand, and we're going to try to press the shoulder, and sometimes helps to bring your leg forward and then press that in a little, just so you can feel a stretch. So if you want to find a wall, and try and do about 3 to 5 breaths. Yeah, well done. That looks good. Yeah, obviously take it easy, see how it feels. And eventually, to kind of improve flexibility, we're aiming, to try and get the side of the ribs towards the wall. So if you're doing left hand back, you're trying to get your left ribs towards the wall. Obviously just go to where it feels good. Try to keep the shoulder pulling down, the back towards the hip. And obviously you can do what you need to with your right. Okay. All right, nice and slowly, just bend that elbow to release. I'm going to switch over to do the other side. So again, you're trying to get that right arm, maybe, or switch sides, whichever one you're doing. You might have if you've got right arm back, you might have right foot forward slightly. Get the outer right hip towards the wall. Maybe work the right outer ribs towards the wall. And you can do this one lying down, but it's really intense lying down because you've got the whole of the body weight, basically. So you have to be really careful if you do it on the floor. Like lying down, basically. Well done. So again, just breathe through it. Nice deep breaths. Lovely. 2 more. Excellent. 1 more. Good work. Well done. Nice and slowly, just coming away from the wall, bend the elbow and releasing it ready. Excellent. All right, coming back to the top of your mat when you're ready. We'll try and work through a little bit of a flow, and then we'll come through for some twists as well. So top of the mat when you're ready. Just want you to now feel how that feels in the shoulders. I've done quite a lot of work with the shoulders today. So top of the mat when you're ready, nice big inhale, reaching the hands up, maybe taking them a little bit wider, maybe bending the elbows, maybe shoulders pulling down the back. And exhale, just relax them forwards and down towards the floor. Maybe let the elbows hang, the neck, the shoulders, just completely relax into that fold. Inhale, lift the head, the chest slightly, halfway there. And exhale, plant the hands, perhaps fingers turned out slightly. Inner elbows forwards as you lower into plank. You might want to use your knees, elbows in. Well done. Take the feet wide, hands go wide as well. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lift the chest belly off the floor. Lift the head, look forwards. So the shoulder blades come together and then melt the heart forwards, 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 and down. Lovely. Hands back in by the ribs. Push into your tabletop position. Checking in with those hands, fingers turned out slightly. Inner elbows forwards. We're going to actively keep the inner elbows forwards. Try not to let them roll in. So it will happen a little as you push the hips up and back into your down dog. Nice deep breath here, just feeling that broadness across the upper back. Nice stretch into the back of the legs. Well done. Good, 1 more breath here. Well done. From here, you come through to seated. And then we'll try and work a little bit more on our back. So for this next one, you want to try to stretch out a little across the front here. We're also going to try and help to get into here. You want to try and get a cushion or a block or something that you can lie on. So for example, I might have a block, or you might have a book that's quite a thick one. It can be thinner as well. Like you've got a book here as well, that might work. So thickish book that you can lie on, or you might even have a towel that you can kind of roll up and just roll it up so it's a little bit sort of hard or solid. And then you're going to place that on the floor, and basically you're going to lie on top of it so it will come down the middle of the spine. And then once you're lying flat on your back, you can always support your head with something else. You're going to take your arms out nice and wide. And the higher you go with the arms, so more cactus arms, the harder it's going to be. And the lower you take the arms, the easier it's going to be. But we just want to lift the upper back slightly, basically. You might have a cushion on top of it, something hard, or a towel, something like that. And then you'll lie on your back on that. And if it is quite high, you might have something else under your head. This is a really nice one to do as well, sort of towards the end of the day. So especially if you've been at your desk all day, it's a really good one to do. And then you'll just release your arms out to the side. Don't worry if you've not got this, I'll give you an alternative. But you're just going to try and relax into it if you can. It's quite a nice stretch for down the sides, but it can also help to just release the upper back a little. Remembering hands lower, it's going to be a little bit easier. Hands a little higher, a little harder. And you can almost close your eyes and just completely relax into that one. So set yourself up with that. We're just going to try and do about a minute there. It's a little like a yin posture really, because you want to completely relax into it. So try and go into that one. If you've not got access to the blocks or anything like that, or you've got nothing to prop you up, then you can just try to do your bridge pose. So we do this one sometimes where you lift the hips up and then just relax the arms out to the side. So sort of a more restful bridge pose, and that will give you a similar feeling with the upper back. But if you can set yourself up with the block, cushion, or whatever you've got, it is a really nice one to do. So I'll just help you with that one. Just give you a moment to set up. And then I'm just going to help you relax into that one a little bit more. So you can close the eyes wherever you are, whether you're in that more resting bridge pose, or whether you've got that block or something down the spine and your upper back with the arms out to the side. And it just allows us to open the chest a little more. We can perhaps relax down into this one. Just feel like the heaviness of the upper body pressing into the back of the upper body. Perhaps even noticing that contact with the ground or the prop or whatever you've used. Just noticing that contact. Perhaps if you're in that bridge position, you might notice your shoulders touching the floor, and perhaps your upper arms touching the floor. Just have a little bend in the elbows, so you can just release the tricep muscles. And then just taking a couple of deeper breaths. And as you do, you're going to really feel the chest expand. Either one of those postures you're in, you're going to feel the chest expand, broaden across the front. And then use the exhale to just soften any tension that you feel in the back, the shoulders, perhaps even in the front of the body. Perhaps if it's a little tight, and sometimes feel it towards the armpits. And again, just using that nice deep breath. So again, just soften into the upper body. Just checking in that your neck feels nice and relaxed. Your chin is relaxed, your jaw. Maybe even think about relaxing your tongue. And then if you just think about the space between the eyebrows, just notice if there's any tension there and just soften that space. And then just coming back to the breath. So perhaps noticing now if the breath is relaxed a little more. And as you've been in this posture for a little longer, just checking in with the body as well. So just start to notice if you're feeling new sensations, maybe feeling tension or tightness perhaps where you didn't when you started. And just noticing that tension or changes. And without trying to change anything by moving the body, just try to breathe again, perhaps a little deeper, and send that exhale to that tension area. So that might be a little tightness across the chest. It might be into the upper back, and perhaps near the shoulder blades. You might even notice you've got a little imbalance in the body and you're feeling it on one side of the body but not the other. And again, just send that tension away with the exhale. Exhale might almost sound like a sigh. You can breathe it out through the mouth. So nice deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale, sigh out through the mouth. And just maybe start to notice that tension disappear. Release it. And it's often our weaker muscles that actually hold a lot of the tension. So when we do pull some of these perhaps weaker muscles, once they recover, we can start to perhaps focus on strengthening those muscles. And also work to release the opposite muscles, that are often the tighter muscles. And hopefully you're feeling nice and relaxed where you are now. We're going to try and move our way towards Shavasana now, which is our final posture, where we can just completely relax the body. So if you can, nice and slowly, without trying to bring the head up too high, just try to remove any blocks or props that you've got. Perhaps if you have lifted the hips for your bridge, you might want to lower those hips down. You might want to just work that lower back into the ground a little. Perhaps just easing out. And then just get yourself nice and comfortable in Shavasana. And with this one, we want to feel the back of the body onto the floor, onto the ground. You might have the feet stretch out and away from you, so legs stretch out. Feet might be a little bit wider, and just allow the feet to flip out to the side. Just allows our pelvis to stay open. You might have the hands a little away from the body, palms facing up, elbows bent in slightly. And just allows our upper back or mid back to be nice and aligned in the spine. Allows the chest to stay open, nice and neutral. Allows the shoulders to soften and relax. Maybe tucking the chin slightly as long as it's not supported underneath. Closing the eyes if you're not already. And then just noticing the breath. Perhaps if you've still got deeper breaths, and perhaps the breath is sped up a little with the movement, transitioning into Shavasana. Let's try and let go of the breath. No longer needing to think about it. Instead, just allowing it to return to its natural rhythm. Allowing your entire body to relax. Your feet, your ankles, your calves and your knees. Allow your thighs to relax, your hips to feel heavy. Allow them to sink into you. Relaxing your lower back, your mid back, your upper back. Allow your shoulders, the back of the head, to relax, to feel heavy, and sink into you. Grow the bra, grow the body. Just trying to bring a little awareness back to the breath, back to the body. Just trying to maybe take a deeper breath in, big sigh out. Now maybe feeling some movement into the fingers, the toes, the wrists, the ankles. Now maybe on a nice big stretch up and over. Nice and slowly, maybe pulling these into the chest, and a little hug in, just easing out the lower back. And then just rolling it over to the right hand side. And nice and slowly, just making your way back up to center. And the body. We're just taking our hands to heart center to finish. Namaste.